Hey everyone, so I'm pretty out of order here, I know, but this is going to be a very special review here because I thought I'd want to shed some light in celebration of the completion of this. So, even if this video gets no views at all, or even if this video blows up and a lot of you diehards are watching, or if you're at least like familiar with classic space, you probably have never known this set was actually a thing. And I don't even know if I should be calling this a set because, to put it frank, this set was never released as an actual set. It was never put in stores. Not even the physical build itself nor the instructions were ever photographed. All we have of this set is a photograph of the box. That's it. Like the front and the back of the box. So yeah, this is for sure the most elusive and mysterious of the whole classic space line. So, mind you, we've definitely had some like pretty elusive sets, like sets either only released in like certain countries or very limited retail, but this is like the only actual like listed set that was never put into production. So anyways, this set is listed as set number 1526 unknown. In some sites even listed as the Space Radar Buggy, which honestly describes what this is pretty well. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to be calling it the unknown set. To be completely honest, I kind of like that name better because it just like adds to the mystery of the set, you know? So we can't not call it that. So yeah, I found out about this set because brickset.com has this listed as part of the 1986 line of classic space sets, which some of them I have displayed back there for the sake of this review. So the story of how this oddball of a set was leaked in the first place, from what I've researched and from the little information that there is online. So apparently there was this one media journalist back in 2004 that went to the Lego headquarters in Berlin, Denmark. In one of the vaults, he photographed what looks like the official box for the set, like both the front and the back side of the box. There are some like other like kind of questionable photos I've just found online, which looks like the instructions and like a pre-built set or something like that. But I wasn't fully convinced that was legit, to be honest, because I have a feeling people could just like very easily like fan make and print out instructions for the set, if you know what I mean. And besides, it's pretty clear that most of the sites that list this set, like all you see is just like the box cover is the single photo that was taken. Speaking of the box, we of course have to acknowledge the big yellow elephant in the room, which is this weird, almost like promotional looking like star shape just dominating the whole box, which kind of implies maybe the set was intended to be released, but just as like a limited retail or like limited production item, only released in like a certain country, you know? It is also possible maybe the set was never intended to be released and just like some kind of like advertisement at like some kind of like Lego convention or something like that. But I honestly feel like the former option's more convincing because like why put so much effort into making this set such a cool looking thing with with never intending to like sell this thing, you know? So yeah, it's really only up to speculation. By this point, it could just be like other budgeting or like productional reasons we can't even comprehend, but who really knows? We'll get into all that stuff later and speculate, but I'd say let's just go ahead and dive into the actual set and what you would have gotten, you know, and then by the end of the video, I'll also do a tutorial about how I built this just based on like the one photograph of the box art we have and all that. So yeah. First of all, we of course got to take a look at the minifig that would have been included in this set, which is one of the common yellow spacemen here. This would have been 1986, so obviously kind of nearing the end of classic space, so it would have been well within the second generation era of the spaceman with the slightly reinforced chin strap to prevent so much breakage like the first generation. However, it's kind of weird, and this is something I don't really understand yet, but like I noticed a lot of the artwork is even with the later classic space sets like showed like all the spacemen wearing the first generation of helmet, in which like I don't think that was always consistent with what you actually got, you know, because like I think after 1984 or something like that, all the spacemen would have been like the second generation with the reinforced chin strap. So yeah, for the sake of the time period, I just included one of these spare yellow spacemen I had, and I just have too many of the second generation ones anyways, let's take a closer look at the vehicle itself, the unknown, we'll just call it. So this is such a cool set, actually. I don't think we've actually gotten something exactly like this in classic space. I mean the vehicle itself without the probes on it is just like kind of a standard build that we see like in this era. It uses like a lot of the same pieces, you know, as we get with other vehicles this year. It's just like an articulated hauler, pretty much flatbed truck. Uses some pretty fun pieces like the this one printed like race car like hood piece, you know. Uses one of those printed control tiles. One of these fun pieces actually, I call these the microscope looking controller piece. We have a printed panel on the back there, which I'm guessing is supposed to like represent how you actually control and launch the probes themselves. Yeah, it's this is, and mind you, this is the way I built it, so it may not be exactly how it would have been officially built, but I based my build off of the photographs we actually have of the set, instead of the rather false instructions that are listed online. So yeah, now the probes themselves use some very fun pieces like these. The old gray versions of these microscope pieces go for like $10, so they cost a pretty penny. These trans yellow dishes are also very rare. They were only included in 2 other sets, which is the Moon Rover and the mobile command trailer, which I have back there. So I literally had to bricklink these. They were pretty pricey. So it's all held together by this this 2x4 plate. So they just like sit in there pretty perfectly, and it's all like held in by these 1x1 bricks, and it can kind of slide a little bit on the tile. But I think the way this works is like these antenna pieces just kind of keep these from like falling. They kind of wiggle around, but I think the idea is just you move like one of these antennas out of the way, and that actually lets you like launch the probes like that. Now these probes I think are supposed to be like robots. They're obviously like some kind of like remote controlled from one of the ground bases or something, and these are pretty much up to your imagination what you want these to be. They're pretty much just like parts packs, so there's not really lore to these at all. So hell, you could pretend these are like missiles or something like that if you want to get violent. You could pretend these are like atmospheric cruisers, sort of like weather balloon type things, and then they're supposed to like come back and land back down on the trailer, or you could like strap these to a rocket and have them be actually like deep space probes exploring other planets and stuff like that. You could pretend these are just satellites or something, like relaying information back to base and mapping out the surface of the planet, or whatever you want, you know. And it comes with a pair of these, so that just adds so much to the play value. It's just so fun. It's a fun parts pack. I see it mostly as that as an adult here, but it's quite a shame this was never actually released as a set, because I think this is a very fun set. Like I said, we never really got something exactly like this. I mean, this is supposed to be like a transporter for like a fleet of robots, basically. I mean, I guess the closest thing to the set would be what releases next year in 87, which is the terrestrial rover, which is supposed to be like a transporter for like a satellite. But I don't know, these just look more fun to like swoosh around as actual robots and stuff like that. I know we've gotten most of the bigger sets that come with like a robot like companion with your space minifig, but I don't know, this is just like so unique. And honestly, the argument that this set would have been like too ugly, too wonky, or too fragile to be released as an actual set doesn't really work for like the reason of this thing's like demise. Because like, I mean, I'll give it this, it's pretty solidly built. I mean, maybe these like 1x8 tiles kind of get a little bit loose. I mean, it's a little bit fragile in some areas, but honestly, like, there's so many other sets. Like, I just use the terrestrial rover as an example, but I think that set is way more like fragile than this set. And when it comes to like the ugliness, I think there are sets way uglier than this set. Looking at you, modular space transport, yeah. All right, so I just laid out all the parts you'll need to build this. So of course you can always pause the video to gather parts. And even if you don't have the exact parts, I'm just here to tell you how I personally built this. And keep in mind too that the official instructions to this set do not exist anywhere. So not even I will be 100% accurate about, with how this thing would have probably actually been built if it was a set. However, I'm just gonna say if you find like those like online like digital instructions that was recreated for this set, like just on sites or whatever, I'm just gonna say don't go buy those. They aren't even accurate. Like as I said, I might not even be accurate, but my intent is to build this as accurately as I can based on the photos we do have. So there are some pieces I could definitely tell that were included in this set that weren't even shown on any like recreated instructions, specifically this like chassis piece. So I'm gonna do my best here. So let's begin with the building process. So obviously building the twin space radar probes included in the set was pretty straightforward. So I don't even know if you need me to tell you how to build this thing, you know, but basically you just take one of these like classic space like rocket engine pieces and just slap some parts on them, like a 2x4 plate on the bottom, and on the top the control panel, 1x2 tile, and a jumper with an antenna, one of the space gun pieces on the front, followed by the very rare trans yellow dish. And with the control console like microscope looking piece, you just slap on a few of the 1x1 cones and a trans red stud on the back of them, and just make like a total of 4 of these, you know, and then you could just like slap them on the sides. There, both of your space probes are complete. So now we can begin with the actual vehicle itself. So it's obvious that the vehicle would have included what looks like the black color of axle pieces for the wheels with the slightly beefier tires. So yeah, 3 sets of those. Obviously it needs one of these hinge pieces, so we're going to start with the hinge piece right here. So yeah, this will be like the main kind of articulation feature of the vehicle so it can turn. We first slap one of these strange pieces on here. This piece might be kind of hard to find because it was just in a few sets. The fact I found a spare one of these pieces is actually how I managed to build the set in the first place. So you take one of these sets of wheels and then just stick them on the bottom right at the end of the hinge right there. Then take a 2x2 plate, followed by the space chair. And then on the back of the space chair, you take a 2x4 plate right here, and then followed by a 4x4 dish, and then just like put it in one of the middle studs right there. Yeah, and that'll be kind of your radar dish on the back. So now we can take a 2x2 plate, followed by the microscope piece for the driving console, and then a trans red 1x1 tile right on there. Damn, I feel like Jay Stupor right now doing how to build tutorials. And then yeah, take a 1x2 brick, and then the blue 1x2 tile with the printed space console, and then take a 1x2 plate on the front there, and a few trans yellow cones, and then these 1x2 slopes for the front of it, kind of giving it like a hammerhead, like just front bonnet appearance. And then stick 2 of these megaphone pieces on the sides of, they can be a bit stubborn, on the sides of the space chair on either side right there. And yeah, just like that, I think we completed the cab section of the vehicle pretty accurately to the photo. Now, building the back of the vehicle might be rather controversial. And this is where a lot of the online instructions I see kind of screw up, because I can clearly see, based on both the alternate builds and the actual vehicle itself, you can see kind of like a low slung part of one of the blue plates. It clearly includes one of these like 2x8 by 1 1/3 chassis piece. So we're gonna go ahead and slap that right on the back here, where the longer part of the chassis is in the front. And then it's pretty clear that the console slope piece is right on the front of the hinge right there. So we're going to take a break from this now and just build the obvious parts of the vehicle. So we're going to take these vertical stabilizer fin pieces, the 1x4s right here, and then we're going to just kind of lock those in with both of these jumper pieces. And that way we can stick our, and this probably works as some kind of like communication, like antenna radar piece. We're just going to slap one of the droid bodies with a 1x1 cone, followed by a trans red 1x1 cylinder with the rocket fins right there. There. So that will obviously be going on the vehicle later. Now, we got to take these 1x10 plates. One of them, just slap 4 1x1 bricks on them. Each of them, just make sure they're 2 studs apart from each other. And then do the same with this plate, except on the edges, just stick 2 of these 1x1 headlight bricks. And then these trans yellow 1x1 plates on the sides of them. And then right in the middle, just like the other assembly, 2 studs apart each, we just stick the remaining 1x1 bricks. So yeah, this will kind of be the frame to hold the tiles together. Now take all 4 of your 1x8 tiles. And both of these frames need to be like 3 studs apart. And just make sure with these tiles, like one stud worth of the tile is hanging off the front, and then 2 studs hanging off from the back. So we're just gonna do that for each side over here. Just like that. Now we have our actual assembly. Now we can stick these 1x4 grid fencing right on the front, kind of facing backwards like that. So now we have our frame to actually hold the probes. So now we can actually stick the frame right on there, on the edges of the chassis piece. Now we can start to actually put this thing together now. We can take one of our 2x2 plates, set it right in that gap there, followed by a 2x3 plate. And then now we can set our antenna assembly. Just stick it in there real good like that. All right, we're making progress. So now it appears that we're supposed to set another one of our wheels right over here, kind of inwards 2 studs. And yeah, that way it still has enough room to spin. And then we can take our other set of wheels and then stick a 2x2 plate on it, just to give it a little extra lift so it's level with the rest of the wheels right there. And it appears on the actual like box itself, you can see there's like one plate's worth of height, like under this modified plate here with the frame, you know, I forgot what these are called exactly. So we just perfectly place it right there. And then for the final touches, our last 2x2 plate. And then these tiles were the most head scratcher of a piece for me, because like I didn't see where these go at first, but I noticed that on some of the alternate builds, it actually like includes some 2x2 plates just like right there in the chassis. So I'm just gonna hand wave it and say that this spot just uses 2 of these 2x2 plates right there. And then we can just stack for the cherry on top a 1x2 plate with the antennas to actually hold in the probes right there. So yeah, with that done, that is the completion of the unknown set, or the space radar buggy, whatever you want to call it. So I'd say it's as accurate as we can get to the actual photos of the set. Definitely one accurate thing is like the the set of like plates and tiles for the antennas is at the same level as the actual like plates that hold the probes. Yeah, all the pieces are definitely correct. The wheel arrangement is correct. I'm pretty sure this chassis piece uses one of the pieces correct. The official sites like list this set as having 104 parts. Well, in total, including the minifig and all that, my version of the build included a total of 102 parts. So just like 2 parts off. So, you know, I'd say it's perfect. I don't even believe what the sites say with this set anyways. I think we did the best we could with this set, and we can just, of course, set in our minifig to actually drive the thing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you build 1526, the unknown set, aka the Space Radar Buggy.